In this tutorial, we will review how to change the marking settings for your laser. As we review the process, keep in mind that different combinations of laser settings will affect the material you're marking in different ways, and that the material itself will also have an effect on the mark that you get. So, whenever possible, make test or sample marks to find the best settings for your laser marking application. To start, let's look at how our settings are laid out. They can all be seen on the right side of the screen. At the top are different pens. Each pen represents a collection of different laser settings. Below that are the different laser settings that we can change, including power, frequency, and speed. Right now, pen 0 is selected, and you can see that the color associated with it is black. The text that you see on screen has a black outline, and that signifies that the outline of this text is going to be marked using the laser settings defined under pen 0. If we wanted to change the pen number for this text, we just need to click on it, then right-click on the pen number that we want to change it to. In the menu that pops up, select Apply to Selected Object. But before I click Apply, take a look at the current laser settings. And now when I click Apply, we switch over to pen number 3, the text outline turns green, and we have different settings. So basically, these pens give you a way to save different laser settings and quickly switch between them so you don't have to manually enter them every time you want to use them. Alternatively, you can click on one of these blocks of colors down here to also change the pen number. Just be sure that you know which color is associated with which pen number. If you need to change the color of the pen number, just double-click on the color block next to the pen number you want to change. This window pops up, and you can choose one of the preset colors or even make your own color. For now, let's stick with pen number 0 and take a look at the settings for the pen below. They are grayed out right now, so to make changes to these settings, we need to uncheck the Use Default Parameters option. And now the settings are no longer grayed out. So let's take a look at some of these laser settings. First is repetitions. The repetition determines how many times the laser marks the object. Speed determines how fast the laser travels as it marks. It's measured in millimeters per second, so right now the laser speed is set to 300 millimeters per second. Power is shown here as a percentage. So if you are using a 20-watt laser and the power is set to 100%, then your laser power is 20 watts. But if it were set to 50%, then it would be 10 watts. To understand frequency, we first need to understand that the laser does not produce a steady stream of energy. Instead, the laser emits light in pulses at regular intervals. Frequency determines the rate of those pulses. As frequency decreases, the number of pulses decreases, but the energy output per pulse increases. As frequency increases, the number of pulses increases, but the energy output per pulse decreases. To change any of these settings, just type in new values in the corresponding text box or use the up and down arrows in each box. Again, changing your laser settings will affect the mark you get, so whenever possible, make tests or sample marks after you've changed your settings. Lastly, you can apply multiple fills to one object, and each fill can use a different pen. If you aren't familiar with fill, we have a video on that, so be sure to check that out. For now, let's click on the hatch button and take a look at the settings for pattern 1. The pattern is enabled, and we can choose the pen in the pen number box. Let's change that to pen number 1. Now let's choose pattern 2 and enable that as well, and change that to pen number 3. Now when we click OK and zoom in a little, we can see that both pens will be applied to the object when we mark. Keep in mind that the pen number that you choose for your fill settings only affect the fill. So right now we have pen 1 for one fill and pen 3 for another fill. But you can see that the outline of this text is still black. That's because we're still using pen 0 in the mark settings. If you want the contour of your object marked the same way as the fill of your object, make sure that you use the same pens for your mark settings and your fill settings. That will do it for this tutorial on laser settings. If you have questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. Be sure to check out the rest of our GeoMARK software tutorials and subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on any future tutorials and laser marking videos.